Hey everyone, it's Adaptive Goddess, and today I'm going to be talking about the different types of conflict styles. So I know I'm in the middle of the emotional regulation, which I know is a really important skill in DBT, but it's really important when you're dealing with emotional regulation that you actually know what style of conflict you typically use, so that way you can actually help with your emotions. And maybe if you are a type of style that you don't like, you can regulate your emotions and use a different style of conflict. So the first one is avoid. And this one is where you don't actually deal with the issue at hand. No one's issues really addressed. You basically just avoid the conflict. So you either are sidestepping the issue, you're postponing pretty much indefinitely, or you're even withdrawing from a conflict. So the pros of this is that it doesn't escalate the conflict. But the cons are there's really some unresolved and unaddressed issues. So this would be like if you're at a restaurant and your meal is just horrible and you don't actually say anything to anybody. And so instead of giving the place like a chance to correct its mistakes, you're just avoiding all conflict because you don't want someone to be mad at you. Next up is accommodate. And in this one, you're satisfying the needs of the other person while neglecting your own. So this includes a lot of self-sacrifice, yielding to the other person's point of view. The pros are that the relationship is maintained and it minimizes injury, but it breeds resentment and it exploits the weak. So this is kind of a server's way of dealing with things, just the customer is always right mentality, where you always are yielding to the customer, you're always yielding to the person in power, which doesn't really actually solve the issue at hand and only breeds resentment towards the person you are yielding to. Next up is compromise. I'm sure compromise is a word that we have all have heard at some point in our life, and it's when we are kind of dealing with another person you're supposed to compromise. And this is when you find an expedited and mutually acceptable solution. So what is commonly known as a win-win situation. But you're only surfacely exploring the problem. So in avoiding, you're just completely glossing over the issue. In compromising, you're kind of just like digging in just a tiny bit of what the underlying issue or the problem is. You're splitting the difference, you are exchanging concessions, and you're seeking a really quick middle ground solution. The pros are that this is so useful when the situation is so complex without a real packaged, neat and tidy solution. And also that all parties involved have equal power in this situation. The cons are that there's not really the optimal solution being reached, and it's a quick fix. Next up is collaborate. And in this one, you're working with the other person, like hand in hand, trying to find a fully satisfying solution to the problem. So this is the best way to reach the like elusive win-win scenario. You do a real big deep dive into the problem to address all the issues and interests of every party involved. You really learn from each other's insights and are really trying to see the other person's point of view, or as I learned it, you take a walk in the other person's shoes. And you find really creative solutions. So the pros are that it maintains positive relationships, it builds on relationships, And it creates a sort of trust and commitment to each other to really fully implement the solution the way everyone agreed to. The cons of this are that it's really time and energy consuming. So a lot of people don't want to use this in their day-to-day life because of how time and energy consuming this conflict style is. Last up is compete. And so in compete, you are only pursuing your own interests. In basically disregarding everyone else, you are going to basically trample over people to get what you want. This can be you are either standing up for your own rights, you're defending a position that is either thought to or widely accepted, or even could be right. Or you're just simply trying to win. The pros are this is very goal-oriented, so it's easier ways to come up with solution because you are so goal-oriented that you already have the solution in hand. And it's very quick. The problems with this is that it breeds hostility. So all of these conflict styles are neither really good nor bad. And there isn't one best kind of style. And they're very useful in different situations. If you are at a family gathering and you would rather just maintain the relationship, maybe you avoid bringing up things like politics or any other kind of controversial topic in your family. So you are avoiding conflict. As a person who deals with the public or deals with angry public, accommodating may be your best style in order for you to get a paycheck, or for you to get good at your job, or for you to just kind of deal with your day. And compromise, I know, is a lot of things that people in power tend to do when they're trying to deal with things like homelessness, or education, or immigration, or even foreign policy, things that are just, you need a doctorate degree to really understand all the different components of what's going on. Collaborate is, I think, one of the styles I really like to use when I am dealing with the kids I work with, because they get then a voice into what they're trying to get for their own needs and really can come up with a solution that they buy into, that they will eventually implement themselves. And I mean, when I'm high on my escalation cycle and I'm in peak, I know I'm in compete mind. But even things like Black Lives Matter, or even what happened on January 6th, were great examples of compete conflict styles. In both ways, they ended up in very different terms, and both were on different sides of what we would deem to be right or wrong. But they show how divided we can be if we use compete conflict styles. So there isn't a right or a wrong style. But it's really what you're trying to do and how you're trying to address a conflict. Are you trying to get something out of it? Are you trying to let a person know what they did to you? Are you trying to be right? Are you trying to just not have the other person be mad at you? Or are you trying to cocoon yourself so that you feel safe? All these things you really need to take into consideration when you're trying to figure out what conflict style you want to use. And in emotional regulation, it's really important. If you're anxious about conflict, you'll probably be using things like avoid or accommodate. If you are angry, you are probably going to be using things like compete. If you are calm, but you're still kind of unsure about the other person, you'll probably use compromise. But if you're in wise mind and you are calm and you use your DBT skills and emotional regulation skills, you'll probably use collaborate. And each one of them, in each different cycle, and in each different style, will create a different outcome for you. Neither one has to be good or bad. They're just different. And so if you use your wise mind and you try and stay calm and you use emotional regulation, you can best figure out what style you need to use in any given situation. Because if you're in a situation that's going to require accommodate and you use compete, you're going to end up losing. If you use avoid when you should be using collaborate, you're going to destroy the relationship. So it's really important that you use your distress tolerance skill. Even if you're stepping away, you're not then avoiding the conflict. You're taking a minute so that you can decompress your emotions and you can understand your emotions so that you can pick the best conflict style. So comment down below, which style do you think you use on like a regular basis? I think I tend to use collaborate more than I would compete because I only use compete in very specific circumstances. And I tend to do collaborate much more on a regular basis, mainly due to my job, but because I like finding creative solutions that help everybody. So that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and gently tap that like button. And remember to be kind